Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be working on my 1998 Subaru Impreza. If you remember the last video, we took it off-roading and we actually found that there's a lot of places where it hits. One of them is right here. So I'm planning on cutting this off, taking the stock fog lights out, and then also you can see the tire damage on, I believe, the other side, where it was hitting right here against this piece. So I'm going to see if I can get a fender roller to roll that bad boy out. If not, I'm just going to bash it in with the hammer, since the car is going to be rhino lined later on anyway. So, you know, cleanliness really doesn't matter right now. I just need to make sure that I have clearance all the way around for the tire so that it doesn't keep damaging it like this. And this is a giant chunk that it took out. And then also, I'm going to be taking the spare tire from the top of the car, and I really want to make like a rear mounted tire piece that goes around like this, and then have the tire right here and cut the bumper along this side all the way across, take the rear bumper support off, and just do a tube bumper on there that'll attach everything together, and then that way it's all one piece and it's solid. I do want to keep the top piece though, make a hole here, that way I can run the tubing and keep it kind of clean, and then this way we won't have to worry about going off of things and hitting the rear bumper against rocks or whatnot, because I think you can tell here that I smashed it into something and it just completely ripped it apart. So cutting it here will give us another, what is this, like maybe 6 or 8 inches of clearance. And then I'm going to have an exhaust shop, raise the muffler up a little bit too, and then this will just be tubing right here. So it'll look a lot cleaner, it'll be a lot better for off-roading. And like I said, we're going to do the same thing to the front. We're going to cut it right underneath the turn signal all the way across. We might even follow this line instead. I don't know, we'll see. But definitely we have to keep the turn signals, and I want to keep at least the upper part of the bumper on, and then just add a metal bumper on the side or underneath it, and you know, run some metal plating to protect the underside of the car too, which is actually something that I got. So I was at work and I found this piece of metal that I can use as a lower plate. All I got to do is trim it from the backside, and it should fit properly to protect the oil pan. So the plan is to put it here, and then I just got to cut where the header's white out. I can attach it to the back of this piece, or even up here up front, but I think the back would be better. That way I have a little bit more of a clearance, and that way if I do hit something, it doesn't just go up against the oil pan. that's about where I want to cut it. So everything underneath the blue is going to be getting removed all the way across the bumper. Like I said, I really want to keep these intact, so I mean, I have to by law. I need front turn signals. The stock fog lights, they're going to be gone. And I could still mount the license plate. So yeah, man, let's cut it and see how it looks. Alright, so now for the reveal. If it got a little wavy, don't worry about it. You can always do touch-ups afterwards with a knife. But let's see what it looks like. Alright, so pretty much this is the end result. I know it doesn't look very appealing yet, but believe me, when you go off-roading, you need as much clearance as you can, and the bumper used to hang down to here, so we have at least a 2-3 inch, 2 or 3 inches more that we can bash it around in. And after I have the bar in place right here, I can cut these off and get a little bit more clearance, because these are going to be in the way. And then, like I said, we're going to use that piece of metal to go from here all the way down to behind the oil pan to protect it. So while I have the car up in the air, I'm actually going to be installing these bad boys also. The stock rubber on the steering rack usually is really soft, especially on older cars, and when you had oil leaks dripping down onto them, they just disintegrate. And my steering has actually been feeling a little sloppy lately, so I'm going to be changing out the outer tie rods next week, and maybe the inner tie rods, and this boot also needs to be changed out, since I do off-road the car, and my job is pretty much off-roading all the time. Since I work construction, I go on the big job sites, and getting dirt and shit in here is just, it's not good for the rack. So since I don't have the inner or outer tie rods or the boots, since I have to order them, just for today, I'm going to be doing the bushings. I got these for 25 bucks online. You'd have to look it up. All I clicked was Subaru rack bushings, and they came up $25. I think it was like $38 with shipping and everything. But I'm gonna have to pop this little piece off to get more access to the rack, and then take 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts off, pop these little brackets down, and hopefully they'll just slip right in. That's what she said. So we're going to start off by removing these 12 millimeters. The ones in the front have a nut and a bolt, so you're going to have to use a 12 millimeter wrench to get up there. So after a long battle against this bolt, we finally got it out. A ton of PB blaster, a ton of back and forth, tightening and loosening it to make sure we didn't mess up the threads. But yeah, it was just pretty rusty. You know, this wasn't a California car, so it does have some rust. That, and also a lot of Subarus, they get used up in the mountains. So, you know, they get salt underneath them and they don't get treated. So, but I mean, it's all right. We got it out. Now we can take these brackets off, and the old bushings, and I'll show you the new ones compared to the old ones so that you can see why we're changing them out. So these are the old bushings. You can tell they're soft, they're old. You know, these are probably the original ones from 1998. Really shitty feedback. So we're swapping them out for these urethane ones from Super Pro suspension parts. This one's the passenger side. And this is the driver's side. And right away you can just tell which one's harder. You can tell it's gonna help a lot when it comes to the steering feedback. And overall, I'm just excited, man, because I actually installed these on the green Forester that Louis is driving now, and believe me, they made a huge difference. You can actually feel the steering rack move from side to side as you were steering. And so when I took it in to go get an alignment, the guy told me that he couldn't do it because they were just turned into mush. So when I replaced them for these, which is the reason why I got these, when I replaced them, it's just overall better feeling. The guy aligned it no problem, and yeah, we're just going with these whenever we get a new Subaru. Okay, so now we have them in place, and all we got to do now is add the stock brackets to it. You're going to use the same ones that your car came with, all the hardware and everything. Just make sure you clean up most of the rust, that way you don't have the same issue as I did. And if you have some anti-seize, maybe put a little bit on there, that way you don't have the same issue later on, especially if you're going to be off-roading it like I do, or rally racing, going into any water, or since it is a Subaru, take it up to the snow or whatnot. And that's it. New polyurethane bushings for the steering, so the steering should feel a lot better once we get it on the ground and get it on the street.